All right, everyone, Supreme Kami over here. So let's talk about the welfare, getting some alterations over here. So we got three over here. So we got Albrion, if that's how you pronounce it, probably butchering it really bad. We also do have the H3 Fortress as well as the Saber over here. So before hopping in to talk about how good they can be or whether or not you should kind of get them, I will have to say if you guys can at least trying to, like, let's say you guys have not gotten any of this suit before, at least trying to get the full set of them so you guys can add that onto your collections and whatnot. In terms of how to get the materials, so let's actually go over to the mission tab real quick, and then I'm just gonna walk you guys down to like how you can get the specific materials that is needed in order to get the parts, kind of alterate it, and etc and etc. So I'm gonna go over to your event tab, and then you go over to this week's welfare event. So I'm just gonna go to this one, and okay. So in terms of the difficulty you want to do this on, I usually do it on the very hard or the extreme difficulty. If you guys cannot beat this, I would say maybe go down to the very hard, or at least try to get some relief unit that can allow you to beat this. Because this one will allow you to get the most amount of, let's say, the materials that is needed. So the top main one you actually need is going to be the gray material, that is this one over here. So the one that looks like a dust powder right there. You will also gonna need the style, the power style, the technique style, as well as the speed style data to do some exchanging as well. So after you know where to get them, you can go over to the shop, and then simply, I believe it costs 5 of the material dust to alter or to exchange for it, so it can be a little expensive. It can be expensive, so that's why we have to go over and see which part is good to grab. So yeah, so you also need the 3-star mode right there, which I have 300 of those. In terms of the gray material, yeah, that is definitely going to be something that is going to be hard to find. Even for me, I only have like what 63 right now, so I can only do roughly about, let's say, 11, like 12 pulls over here or 12 exchange over here, which is a very limited, obviously. So in terms of how you can get this right here, you can also go over to we go back over here, go back to the exchange, and then you can take a look at the gray coins for this week, and then you can also exchange it from this way as well. You guys can use 100 of the this week's event coins, and then you can exchange for that as well. So that is going to be another map where you can do that, but this way I feel like it's very expensive as well. In terms of event coin, I think they should be reserved to get these items first. These are probably going to be your top priority in terms of getting them. So in terms of like whether or not you want to get the full set of like all 3 of them, I recommend you guys get them like obviously 1 part per each. But if you guys cannot, that is totally fine. So after that, in terms of alteration, you're also gonna need this type of material right here. So we're gonna hop over to the permanent and click on the crew credits, and that is gonna be this the blue version of the alteration tool. So they call it the alteration tool light. So that is what you will need in order to alterate your wallpaper parts right there. So now that you know how to get the parts, so let's talk about which one is good, which one is bad, which one you should alterate, and etc. So in terms of, let's start things off with the Albrion. Pronounce it wrong probably. I'm not even gonna pronounce it anymore. In terms of overall head, this one prior to Alteration was already really good because it does have a EX skill power boost by 25% already, so it was pretty solid. So when we are looking at Alteration, we simply want to see if there's any improvement upon that, and simply this one does not. So I think this one is safe to say that even before Alteration is completely good to go. This one, even the overall stat, dude, I would say don't expect too much in terms of overall stat, because the unit that came out during the time period, the one that they have picked, they're obviously not going to be that high in terms of stat lines up here. So it is totally going to be safe to say that just kind of ignore the stats. In terms of word tag, they won't give you, like, usually they won't have those like really premium combos. So this one, being a force space and high firepower, is really on that like kind of like a area, like where you don't really know how to like kind of walk around that. But this one, now simply just getting 1 part of it should be sufficient enough already. Right now, you want to max that out, or if you guys don't have this type of selection, you can kind of go for it. But yeah, simply you don't really need the alteration for it. So moving on to the torso over here, the stat is just not really there in a way in terms of overall melee and shot. It's definitely not anything high. Like, you can't even compare this one to like recently released, let's say, welfare units, because they're just so much better in terms of what they're doing. Like these one over here, just kind of like, oh man, even with like a proper alteration, they're still kind of like, meh, they're just not cutting it. This one is simply, you don't have to talk about it at all, just straight up back. I'm not even gonna mention it. Nope, this one, nope. Simply getting that one part for the collection would be sufficient enough. Moving on to the arm, let's see what we have. So arm wise over here, stat is going to be pretty much similar. And this one, first one is already, I will have to say is bad, because that was only locking you to a special shot power boosting. So it's going to be like a hold down shot like charge over there. So that is not going to be effective way to clearing any match away. So that part is bad. And second portrait, I don't think it's that good of an improvement either way, because this one is only, and when you have sorting in, let's say, for space category, so that's kind of like a no. Really niche, kind of like a specific area, so you're not really gonna use this in too many stages, I guess. So probably not. So kind of skip that alteration as well. All right, moving down to leg over here. So leg wise, in terms of overall stat, are pretty similar to what we have seen from the arm already. So kind of just not good or wrong. In terms of this one, there's not much of an improvement after alteration. Portrait wise is piercing boosting, or the pierce boosting. So not, I personally don't prefer them over power boosting, just because piercing doesn't allow you to deal more damage in a way. So probably not. I mean, piercing is really good if you are running like event like those challenges, like the one we have for Nishi challenge, where you need to, like the first phase, I believe, you cannot really do regular EXQ and kind of clean the map. You need special like kind of portrait. But if you have a lot of these for say, you can definitely break it down with like any EXQ, no problem. So yeah. But other than that, in terms of the first portrait, it's a really one of those gimmicky portrait that if you are able to get, let's say, a rough estimation, just spitballing, let's say you do get up to 100% with a conjunction with other EXQ or portrait that gives a projectile speed, that can be a little bit of a fun build, I guess, in a way. But solely, it's just not going to be that good. So simply, this is just for fun. Projectile speed, I have seen people actually use it in terms of like, if you talk about the arena players, I have seen people have used it just to have their let's say mystery hit a little bit faster, just being able to target your target a little bit faster. So but other than that, this is just completely for funsies over here. The second portrait, nope. Moving on to the EXQ, the only one we have. So this one is going to be the claw arm over here. So simply, if you guys do watch the original Double series, you guys know that when Cessna or the Celestial Being was fighting the final boss, it actually comes with a mobile armor. So it's actually gonna summon that mobile armor, and then it's gonna perform a few melee hit with the claw. So I have a problem with this overall EXQ, because this is not really there's no iframe, so you are bound to take hits, and if your enemy does any sort of action that may be unfavorable to you, meaning that can knock you out, you can literally end your EXQ there. So so you have a 50-50 chance of every time when using it you may get knocked out, and just kind of end your animation right there. But you simply talking about how it looks, I mean, visually it looks pretty cool. I don't think I have anything to complain about that. But in terms of like the effectiveness of like the overall like clearing rates for using this EXQ, I would say, yeah, probably not that well in a way. But in terms of overall EXQ, I think prior to alteration is completely good already. Just because the only difference that you're getting with alteration and prior, you're only getting the A+ pierce. Prior to that, it's only D power or D pierce, so you're not really missing too much. I don't think having like an extremely high piercing value will allow you to do like extremely more damage. I don't think it's gonna matter as much. So this one, if you don't alterate it, it's completely fine. And do keep that in mind in terms of alteration. There's no time limit, so maybe you don't want to alterate it now, you want to alterate it some other day. That is completely fine as well. All right, moving on to the double saber over here. So let's see what we have. So I see crits and I see some enemy power reduction. So in terms of power reduction, those are always going to be good. So 70% or lower can be a little bit of a problem. So if you're going to start getting hit with some EXQ, do keep that in mind. From full health to all the way down to when you hit 70%, you're not going to get covered. So if you take too much damage, you might just kind of like get KO on the spot. So this might not even trigger. So it really depends on what kind of playing style you guys are looking at. If you don't like to run, let's say, enemy cooldown or no enemy power reduction type, then this one is definitely not going to be for you, and there's no need to alterate. So simple style right there. Style wise on the beam saber is just kind of not non-existing basically. In terms of the dual beam rifles over here, the style overall is sufficient enough that I will give it a pass, but definitely not anywhere good. Portrait wise, definitely a thumbs down for sure. What, job gauge increased by 13%, and then more critical shot or shot critical rate up? No. So I think overall there's just not much to get from the set right here. Maybe the backpack if you do want a little bit more of a BPE skill, but other than that, all the other ones are just kind of good for one single copy for the collection purposes. And there's a maxing it out or shooting it, I think probably not for sure. Alright, moving on to the H3 Fortress over here. So we only have 5 parts, so let's kind of get started. Into the H3 Fortress, the head part is just not good. So this one just have a flat out damage, a flat damage rate, so not good. And this one having simply 20%, it's just not enough. And nope, just nope, all around no. Alright, moving on to the chest over here. I think the chest is definitely one of the best part from all three of them combined, because look at this. This is, I would have to say, a properly built, let's say, double power boosting, but do keep that in mind. The second portrait is only limited to using it on an arm part, so that can be a little bit of like, yeah, kind of like not really sure how it might perform in terms of other EX skill. Just note that your other EX skill will definitely be suffering from a loss of 30%, but this one is probably the best you can get from like a welfare version, I must have to say. So definitely a thumbs up for this one, definitely. But yeah, just gonna be a very conditional. And first portrait, I mean, just gotta say right now, this one is only for a long type shooter job, obviously. So if you are running into, let's say, if you can't use it, you have to use, let's say, middle shooter. This is not going to be something for you, so you might have to adjust your build accordingly to run long shooter per se. But yeah, other than that, this is definitely the one who kind of like put in all your resources and just kind of alterate it whatsoever if you don't have any other choices. But if you guys do have any other better choices, like in terms of 40% trade for your chests, then don't even bother with this one over here. So yeah. In terms of the army skill for the H3 Fortress, I think this is definitely one of the best one out of the set, just because this one can be run. I don't know how effective this can be in, let's say, in arena specifically, or just any other content that you might have like a swarm of enemy that you might want to immediately just kind of take them out. This one's gonna do a beam attack from left to right, so very similar to the Destiny Impulse, where the first part of it, the first section, gives you like a left to right swing or a beam attack. So this one can be really powerful, because I do remember in terms of overall beam attacks, it was pretty like, it does give you like a good volume, good range. So you cannot go wrong with this one. So definitely going to be a top recommendation in terms of EX skill over here. So moving on to the leg over here. So again, we have another one of the projectile speed boosting right there. This is definitely going to be for a fun build, of course. Second portrait, not even worth mentioning. So 33% chance of not recoiling, so not really that important, and just the percentage is too low. So we're not gonna talk about that either. So, but this one definitely good for a fun build, of course. But in terms of alternating it, probably no. So you will not need to really get you don't need to raise any additional resources for this one. So yeah. All right, moving down to the backpack. So let's see what we have. Backpack wise over here, thing is just completely bad as well. So nope, just not gonna talk about that. Stat wise on this one, it's not even that impressive at all. So yeah. All right, so moving on to the Saber Gundam over here. So in terms of the Saber, I think originally it was really good, just because of the torso. Actually, this give you a little bit of a at max out gives you 15%, so that was a little bit of something I used back then prior to having like the actual 100% cooldown. So this one is definitely going to be very sufficient for just any occasion, I would have to say. Alright, in terms of overall portrait, what are we looking at? This one is definitely a pretty nice solid selection, because this one does give you an initial EX charge boosting. But do keep that in mind, if you guys do have something along the line in any of the other parts, I think that is pretty good already. Just because running this one is pretty much going to be like a dead tree on the first one, because reduced damage by 20. That is just simply not enough. So yeah, but you know, just having the initial choice is definitely a pretty good sign overall. So we can kind of kind of work with that, I guess, in a way. So torso wise is definitely really good. I think the overall status is extremely balanced out, so that's kind of something that you gotta wait for, I guess, you know. But in terms of prior to alteration, I think it's completely fine already. I think after alteration, you're not really getting too much except for a little bit of a stat. Probably shooting crit is just not good. I just think any crit, you know, trait in game are just not good in general. So kind of you can just kind of skip the alteration, but at least trying to get a copy of that. Just having that. I mean, you don't even need this anymore if you guys have gotten any of the Bachelor suits, because it actually does come with some you know, EXQ cooldown reduce kind of stuff right there. But if you are looking for something within, let's say, the torso line, this is definitely not a bad selection overall. So yeah. Moving on to the arm, so we do have the EXQ. It's gonna be a double Saber shear over here, so it's not gonna be anything too groundbreaking, obviously, but does have a B plus pierce, so that is very rare, I gotta say. So I might actually give it a try and alterate it and see how it goes. But overall stat definitely not worth mentioning, so we can just kind of get out of here in a way. Just no. Alright, in terms of overall leg, not bad. I think the status are pretty much well distributed. In terms of shot attack is a little bit underwhelming in a way, like roughly about 10k lower than your other expected parts, so not sure why that's the problem right there. Close shot attack is not really that good anyways, because 14% at max out? Come on, man, we're not doing that. In terms of the second trait, it's not too terrible. It's only logging you down to beam, or not beam, excuse me. It's only logging you to back EXQ only. So if you can, let's say, accept that fact, maybe it's gonna pick up. But other than that, limiting to a particular part to execute EXQ is just to get the boosting is probably not good. You know, if they lock it down to like all they did for the word tag already. So yeah, this is just basically no. So yeah, although it's 30% power boosting, but only back portion can benefit from that. So pretty much two steps, right? In a way. So nope. Alright, moving down to the backpack now. The backpack, so alright, so this one is gonna be like a regular beam type EXQ over here. So pretty much we have seen probably a few already. So this one does go up to a B plus piercing over here, so not bad. Power wise, definitely jump from what C to a B, so that's definitely a good thing right here. You know, I think this should hit relatively good anyway. I want to say maybe similar to some of the other ones that we might have gotten already. So but definitely maybe good if you truly do like the the Saber Gundam right here. I don't think it should be that bad in terms of damage output, so but we'll definitely see as I will do my own EXQ testing with them. So alright, moving on to the beam Saber here, so let's see what we have. So the first trait is definitely really good already. Second trait is just awful, so don't even need to alterate it. So yeah, just simply have it just like this. That should be pretty good enough. Don't even need to raise the resources on it. So yeah. Moving on to the beam rifle now. So beam rifle, let's take what we have. So when attack, beam range weapon, magazine boost by 20%. So kind of like just being able to hit a little bit more in terms of like your normal attack shooting. So not really the greatest, but at least it's something. But yeah, in terms of the second trait, completely no. We don't do crits here. Crits don't even work in game actually. So yeah. That is gonna be pretty much it from the beam rifles. So last but not least, we do have the shield. In terms of overall shield, the style wise is kind of comparable to the other ones that we have seen so far, I guess. Portrait wise is a completely hot skip as well. So yeah, that is gonna be pretty much it. I feel like these batch of warfare unit, I don't think they're anything too good at all. You know, they're just kind of like really plain. I don't think I don't know about the effort and all that, but there's just not anything good that I want to use personally. So maybe the Forces backpack or the Forces one, but other than that, all the other ones are just kind of suboptimal. I don't even think it deserved the alteration. So yeah, with that being said, that is going to be pretty much it, and I'll catch you guys all on the next one.